this one, I fully don't expect you to know who the hell this guy is. I think I've mentioned him to you before because I was a genuine fan of this guy growing up, probably around the time like I was 14, give or take a couple of years. I was a big fan of this guy. I thought he was cool and hilarious. And his name's Anthony Cumia. He was the co-host of the Opie and Anthony show. And he got fired from his job. He had a show on SiriusXM that they got paid pretty well for. They had a couple of contracts where they got paid multiple millions. I think it was over the course of a few years, so that's not like crazy multi-millionaires, but they did very well. And he gets fired from this show because of some crazy tweets that we might go into later. But essentially, whether or not you think he was right or wrong, it was going to be pretty obvious that most people were going to say that's racist and they weren't going to like it. And so he got fired because of that. And he started his own media company called Compound Media. And he had his own show that he did on there. And then he brought on some other people that did their own shows. And if you've heard of Legion of Skanks, that's a pretty popular show. They started at Compound Media. Red Bar, he did his show there for a little bit, got some viewership from there. And Chrissy Mayer, some people know her, she's on there now. But he announced recently that he's closing down Compound Media, and he did it very abruptly. And he said he's firing basically everybody except for Gino Bisconte and Chrissy Mayer, which is just insane. It's Gino Bisconte is another person you don't know, and nobody should know. He's a bum. He's a loser. And it makes no sense that of all the people that he could have kept along with him, he keeps Gino. Chrissy Mayer, I think she sucks, but I think she gets decent viewership, so that one kind of makes sense or whatever if you're going to keep that show. But yeah, it's ridiculous that he did this. And so, sorry, this is a call, or it's a clip of Anthony's show that he was doing, and Kevin Brennan, who's another comedian, he has his own podcast called Misery Loves Company that was also on Compound for a while. And this is just a clip from when Brennan called into Cumia's show after this news came out.
Oh my God.
And you don't even need to see it.
Is that really Brennan?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't know if I'm talking about this right now. I got to talk a lot with
So just listen, hear his voice here. Oh, is that Kevin Brennan? Oh, geez. That's what he says. He sees that Kevin's name is on the caller ID or whatever. And he's like, oh, is that Kevin? Oh, geez.
I don't know if Gavin is
brunch
anything or what happened.
And he says, I don't know if Gavin said anything. Gavin McInnes owns Censored TV, and Compound and Censored TV are merging. And that's why a bunch of shows from Compound are being, cut. And yeah, that's what he means, Gavin, because Gavin is kind of taking the lead on this action, it seems like, from what I've heard.
Yeah, plans are in the works. Things are being done.
What?
Yeah, I'm not. If it was just me and I could just talk about this, I would. But there's other people and stuff involved, so sorry.
This guy, for years on his show, day after day, it was a recurring segment at least a couple times a week. You're going to hear them raging against the suits at SiriusXM, complaining about how the suits don't understand any of the art side of the radio. All they understand is numbers, basically. All the time they would talk about this. And now he's going, oh, geez, I don't know. I don't want to say anything out of turn. I don't want to misspeak or say anything that I shouldn't have. I don't know my liabilities. And this was the shock jock. This was the great shock jock, Anthony Cumia. Oh, geez, I better not. I don't know. What the fuck happened to him? Seriously.
Kev, I got to be out of the Kevin Brennan business as far as this call goes, too. I do. Once I'm able to say something and talk, I will. But tell Kevin I'm sorry. I can't.
So that's it. He completely bitches out of even talking to Kevin Brennan. And Kevin Brennan is not a scary guy. Well, I'll pop him on screen for a second here now. You didn't need to see this. That's Kevin Brennan. That's the guy he's so scared of.
Seems like a nice guy. What's so scary about him?
Well, I don't have a problem with Kevin. He's decently funny from what I've seen. I don't know much about him or whatever, but he seems like one of the funnier people that's come out of the compound area or whatever. And then, so this is a clip where Garrett, the producer for Anthony, for Compound Media, a bunch of shows, he's beloved by the fans. He's, and a lot of times you don't even really know the producer or whatever, but sometimes a producer has a strong personality and they kind of become a second, third mic or whatever. And he kind of did a little bit of that, and he was just solid at his job. So people really liked him. And he got canned. And this is Garrett and another guy that he did a show with talking about getting fired.
Pressed about it.
Thank you, Kevin. I noticed. You brought me up many times, and it was very much.
Yeah. So again, it's Kevin Brennan called in, and he's kind of giving Garrett his flowers. He's buttering him up. It's a bit much, but let's see how's the
appreciated. And I agree with your sentiment.
Look at this tomato motherfucker. Can you would you at all be surprised to know that this guy's a cop? I mean, he looks like he is feeding into that domestic violence stat. No questions asked. That looks like an angry ex-cop, man. God damn.
He just needs the state trooper mustache.
Yeah.
Sentiments, like even the thoughts around here was like, oh, everyone's going to be fired except me.
I've said that a lot. Like, we're all getting the boot, but Anthony's going to tell you to move to South Carolina with him.
Or something. Yeah, but
and then never happened.
I get it why he didn't,
it turns out he hates you. He wants you to fucking live on the streets and be destitute.
So Asian Pat Dixon is doing all these shows now?
Supposedly.
No, he's doing Anthony's, I think.
Just Anthony's.
He's just asking, so Gavin's producer is going to produce all the shows now? And that's why you're getting fired?
Yeah, just Anthony's.
Chris, they have to do their own.
No, but I'm saying he's going to do all the main shows. He's going to do Gavin's show, and then he's going to do Anthony's show.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I can have you on my show and ask all these detailed questions, but so when I called you on Monday about E-Rock, you already knew that you were fired?
Yeah, we knew last Wednesday that we were.
You hear that? Anthony Cumia fired the beloved host, absolute suit move, and on top of that, oh, please don't say anything. Please don't say anything. Can you just hold off? It might mess up our legalities. The shock jock, that's what he's saying.
We're all fired, but we were told not to say anything about it.
I mean, that's unbelievable. You're getting fired and you're still like a good soldier to the end. Even today when that guy called in,
why are you doing
why
that?
don't they fucking walk out? I was like, yeah, why don't they?
Because Anthony deserves it. Like, he kept this around so much longer than it had to be, and we had the easiest jobs ever. And we were pretty much.
So you know what you're saying here? You're saying the writing was on the wall. You know what that means? It means you don't have to drop the axe on somebody. Hey, you get one fucking week. Like, what? What do you mean? So, we knew all along. So that means he couldn't be communicative with us? That's what a suit does. Uncaringly says, the numbers don't work out. You're gone.
Yeah, that's what those companies like to do.
Yeah, that's what you would expect. But it's rich coming from Anthony Cumia because it was him versus the suits. He was taking on corporate America only to do this.
Off the tit of Anthony, pretty much. And it was like, we'll do it as long as we can, and thank you for letting us do it for as long as we did. Like, that's why.
Okay, so Anthony, did you find out from Gavin, or did Anthony kind of DM you or text you on the side?
No, it was like a meeting after Gavin and Anthony's show last Wednesday, and Anthony was on Zoom, and Gavin was in the studio.
Anthony didn't know the meeting was happening.
Are you hearing this? Anthony Cumia couldn't even show up in person. He didn't even know he couldn't be bothered to give a shit when his guys were getting canned. Couldn't be bothered to know the date. Couldn't be bothered to show up. But fuck the suits.
He was too scared. Yeah, he's blaming the wrong people, but he can't even grow a pair of balls to be there with his people that he worked with for so long.
Yeah, and he's letting his buddy Gavin McInnes do it all. He's too much of a coward to face them. He needs his friend Gavin to take the heat.
And he didn't know the meeting was happening that day.
He said, I was like, are you sticking around for the meeting? And he was like, what meeting?
I didn't know your career was down here.
And then today he heard that people were announcing it was the last show of Compound, and he was like, wait, is it? And then had to look up that we were off next week and finally realized that, yes, we were. This was
really off next week. We're the offest we've ever been next week.
So he had no idea on that either.
And was Gavin a dick when he gave you guys the news?
He said it sucks for Garrett because, he gave Garrett all these compliments. And it sucks you're fired.
He was a dick.
Yeah, he was a dick.
He was kind
It just, my hands are tied. It's ridiculous, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's completely shameful. Anthony Cumia is over. It's over. He's a shell of himself. He's fully become a nana. I mean, this is not, you're not getting the full effect of what I wanted, but this is him years ago. And the hair is grayed. He just does not have any of the energy he used to. He's a nana now. He's become a nana. He's washed up. If you liked him when he was on O&A, I don't know how you could possibly still like him. Not to say that he's never funny anymore. I've seen clips of him where he's funny. The show that he does with Gavin is decently funny. I haven't watched a ton of it, but yeah, it's just completely ridiculous. And then it will give you an idea of the energy that this guy had when he was on SiriusXM radio, satellite radio, as they would always say. So this is an article that came out when he was fired July 2nd, 2014. So this is a while ago that he got fired from satellite radio. O&A host Anthony Kumia has gone on an offensive Twitter tirade after he claimed a woman attacked him in Times Square. The incident sparked a racist rant from the SiriusXM DJ who said on Tuesday that he was taking photos of New York City when an African-American woman who was in his frame punched him in the face. The woman said she did not want to have her picture taken, according to Kumia. So, and we don't know, that's basically his retelling of the story.
Yeah.
To me, it seems weird that you're just innocently taking pictures of New York City as a whole or whatever, and somebody gets that bothered. Seems like maybe you were creeping, and you're not going to know this. Anthony is a creep, like kind of similar to a Dr. Disrespect type of creep. People have caught him following very, very bizarre Instagram profiles of children. And like the dude is a fucking weirdo, but it's just to give you an idea of some of these tweets that he put out when this happened. This is what got him fired. And this was kind of the energy that he had on the show. So it's a sharp contrast to the, oh, geez, I don't know. It's a jungle out in our cities after midnight. Violent savages own the streets. They all came to defend this pig. I had to yell like at dogs. I was using my arms to block her punches. As I did, she'd yell, "Don't touch me," as she punched more. I really hope she gets shot and killed. All good. Vision in right eye is back to normal. It more pissed me off than anything. Validated my beliefs.
Your beliefs?
I don't know.
Beliefs of being a racist or what?
Yeah. I mean, that's what he did. He was just talking about how black people were animals, and this woman attacking him in New York Street or in New York City is par for the course. It's exactly what you would expect from black people. Was essentially his sentiment.
That's pretty bullshit. Even if she did attack him, that doesn't mean that that's the norm. You know what I mean? You're literally taking one person and sample sizing the whole black population because one person pissed you off.
Yeah, sure. I mean, getting into like litigating his firing or whatever is kind of pointless. Like, whether or not you agree with it, it makes sense that a company would fire you for that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and he played with the heat and he got burnt. That's what happens, Like it sucks or whatever, because I can kind of see how they were doing their show one way for a long time and then things changed, and at a certain point when they did their show, that wouldn't have been a fireable offense. It wouldn't have gotten coverage and all of that. And so, I can understand that or whatever, but yeah, I mean, you play with fire, sometimes you get burned, and he was the shock jock. It was him versus the suits. He was going to take the corporate America down, and now here he is axing everybody with no notice. Can't even show up in person. Has to have his buddy Gavin do the dirty work because he's a coward.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous, especially based off how he perceived himself in the past, and then he can't even fire his own people. It's like, yeah, it's not fun to have to fire people, but they at least deserve to hear it from their boss, not from a buddy of yours.
Yeah, no, it's like I've been completely, disenchanted with this guy for years and years. By the time I graduated high school, I wasn't really listening to O&A anymore, but it's just crazy to see the transition over the years and how he came from the mighty maverick shock jock, and now he's over here quibbling, hemming and hawing, and not showing up and being a coward, and it's pathetic. And you shouldn't stand by this guy anymore. I don't care. You can say, oh, it makes financial sense and all that. Yeah, I know it makes financial sense. And if the writing was on the wall, then you can fucking communicate that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you can justify it. It's a suit move. And he said, fuck the suits. So that's the whole thing.
And like, maybe people would have respected him more if, like I said earlier, if he would have just done it himself. But the fact that he couldn't even do that makes you really wonder how true he was to those beliefs that he stated he had earlier in his life.
Yeah. He's just whatever's convenient for him. He likes to be boisterous and have the cool ideas when it benefits him, but when push comes to shove, oh, jeez. Nana.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned this earlier in the segment that we did on Anthony Cumia, but this is also, I took this from Wikipedia. This is just a brief description of a domestic violence conviction that Anthony Cumia had. On December 19th, 2015, in his home, Cumia assaulted his 26-year-old girlfriend, Daniel Brand, and he's an old man, like 40s, 50s here, and his 26-year-old girlfriend. The daughter of the Stress Factory owner, Vinnie Brand, so it's his friend's daughter. Like, the dude owns a comedy club. He's probably a fan of O&A, and his 26-year-old daughter is dating Anthony Cumia, which, shame on that dad. Shame on that dad, Vinnie Brand. I can't believe you would let your daughter do that. I don't have a daughter, but I know that I would never even question doing that. He was arrested by Nassau County Police on charges of strangulation, assault, criminal mischief, and unlawful imprisonment. Prosecutors said that Cumia had choked Brand, pinned her against the wall, and stomped on her hand. She had a broken rib, chest pain, and a swollen arm. Cumia was released without bail on December 21st, at which time his attorney stated that Cumia denied the allegations. In June 2016, Cumia pled guilty to third-degree assault and criminal obstruction of breathing in a plea deal. So he pled down to criminal obstruction of breathing and third-degree assault. Not a great look.
Seems like a really stand-up guy. That's exactly the kind of person that we want to be a role model in the business world.
And so not only did he admit to it legally by taking that plea deal, but also this is a little song that takes clips of things that he said on his show addressing this.
Toodly doodly doo. Toodly doo. Surprised me. I love hearing a good song remade with nothing but fucking
Happenskins.
I don't know.
Oh, come on! Let's go sing! I went on. You bit a girl's hand. It's like, damn right I did. I went on. You bit a girl's hand. It's like, damn right I did. I went, yeah! Here, let me explain the hand. I bit her hand. I grabbed her wrist. I bit her hand. I did. I bit her hand. I went on. Dude, there's one of my teeth. It made a mark. It didn't break her hand. This guy's a crazy biter. Get out of here. Man! I went on. You bit a girl's hand. It's like, damn right I did. I went on. You bit a girl's hand. It's like, damn right I did. I went.
Yeah, so that's shout outs to Tappenskins.